Candy season is upon us. That's what I've always called it anyway. It's the holidays, right? Halloween is around the corner, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, and then Easter. Candy season. It's about half the year. And if there was ever a time of year something's going to happen, you're going to have a paradox play out in front of you. On the one hand, you will probably see a fair number of carnivores fall off the wagon or get very loose with their diets. Very easy to do, very understandable. It's candy season. It's a time of year where people visit families and all the rest of it. Plus, with politics happening, everyone is kind of stressed out right now watching this stuff happen. The environment is right for people to live a little, as some people would say. In other words, to fall off the wagon. But paradoxically, you're going to also see some people starting to ask you questions about the carnivore diet, or about the ketogenic diet if you are more of a ketovore or keto type. They're getting ready for the new year. They're going to start the diet. I'm going to tell you now, if you are planning to cheat a little bit, if you're planning to live a little, I want to tell you what happens when I eat carbs. Famously, a few months ago, or about a year ago, I became very irregular with my posting videos on this channel, and that was because I had essentially an accident ordering a sugar-free coffee during the Christmas season from a coffee place I like. Usually I make my own coffee, but there is one place I like where I can get a black coffee and it's very good. But during Christmas, these places always have these fancier coffee drinks, and I ordered one that looked on paper like it would be keto. And I drank it, and it tasted odd. I hadn't had sugar in 2 years or more, and something tasted off about it, and then all I wanted was another one. And so I got another one, and I didn't watch them make it, and by the third day, my body felt like the cells in my body felt like they were on fire. It was the weirdest sensation. I ordered a coffee, I watched them make it, and I saw what happened. They poured a bunch of actual chocolate milk into this keto drink. And that kicked off a year-long period of me struggling to get back on the horse. Because sugar is once it gets its hooks into you, it gets its hooks into you. And I've outlined before how I got off of that, how I got back on track, and if you want to know, I can do another video on it. But here's what happens if I eat sugar. If I eat sugar, I will tell you how I feel. Well, the first thing I will tell you is that my body loves carbohydrates. It loves them so much that it wants to hug them and keep them forever. I will gain weight at a rate that should not be possible. Some of it water weight, but that initial water weight gain doesn't last forever. After all, if you gain 50 pounds in a few weeks, you're not gaining 50 pounds of water. That would be weird, and it would fall off really quickly once you get back on track, and that's not how it happened for me. I gained a lot of weight really quick. Really quick. There's a few other things that happened. One, I got sleeplessness. I started having a very hard time sleeping. I got very lethargic. Suddenly, I couldn't get into the gym on a regular basis. It just stopped happening. I would let my yard get a little more disarrayed than it would normally. Even mowing the lawn became a mental chore, not even a physical chore, just a mental chore for me to accept that I needed to do it. I started becoming more short-tempered. Sugar makes me mean. I even have a video by that title on this channel. It makes me mean, and I try very hard to not consume that junk. The next thing that happens is that I get a little loosey-goosey with just my normal day-to-day duties. Again, it makes you lethargic. It makes it so you start making excuses for yourself. At least that's the effect it had on me. All of this while I'm gaining weight at a really, really rapid response. And then, I don't know how to describe this, but if I have sugar for more than a few days at a time, I start to feel bad. Really bad. Really, really bad. To the point where I suspect, I've never been diagnosed with this, so take this with a grain of salt, but I am in my mid-40s. So I expect that having had issues with obesity for virtually my entire life since I was about 8 years old, I suspect that I'm pre-diabetic. And that I am managing this and living fine in what on paper, all my numbers are practically perfect health because I keep a low carbohydrate diet of some kind or another. But if I eat carbohydrates for even just a few days, I start to feel really bad. To the point where, during that time where I was trying to get back on the wagon, I would end up going carnivore, strict carnivore for a few days. And then something would happen. And because I hadn't handled it correctly, I'd fall off again. And then I'd have carbs for a few days, and then I'd get back on the wagon. On and on and on and on and on it went. Do not underestimate how dangerous sugar can be. Do not underestimate how hard it is to separate yourself from that sugar. And for those of you who want to use carnivore as just a weight loss thing, and then you want to get back to something akin to a clean, more normal kind of diet, maybe you're not eating ultra-processed foods, maybe you're thinking about restricting the amount of carbs you have, you need to tread very carefully on what happens when you reintroduce carbohydrates, and you need to understand that what the effects can be and monitor them and do them in some kind of plan that is sane, instead of just jumping into 50 grams of carbs a day and then 100 grams of carbs a day and like that. You don't want to do it that way, and you certainly don't want to just go from carnivore one day to ordering ice cream or whatever the next. You simply do not want to do that. But you need to tread carefully, because it could very well be that you will discover what I discovered doing low-carb diets and carnivore diets broadly for weight loss, because I've been battling my weight my whole life. And that is that my body loves carbohydrates. At the same time, the carbohydrates were going to end me. Simple as that. So this is what happens when I eat carbohydrates. If I eat them beyond something like a ketogenic or low-carb threshold, it's hard for me to stop. It becomes undermining my very psychology, the way my mind works. It destroys my day-to-day life, and it looks like it would destroy my life because of the way I felt. If you look at the symptoms of being pre-diabetic, I checked like 3/4 of them or something like that. Again, never been diagnosed, so take that with a grain of salt. But be very wary as we enter candy season that there are a lot of things out there that you'll be tempted by. And I will tell you before, if you've watched one of my biggest videos on this channel, which is why I quit doing a normal ketogenic diet for a carnivore diet, the reason I stopped was because of the other kind of traps that are out there. And that is the fake keto foods. And I don't mean like, here's your hamburger bun with 75 grams of fiber in it, as if that was a good idea to eat in one sitting. I mean all the keto candies. Things that when you look at the package, it doesn't look like there'd be that many carbs in it, but then you eat them. It's one of those, you start eating this stuff and you can't stop. And so all of a sudden you've just destroyed your carb count for the day. I got away from that because it was too much of it for a temptation. And if there was ever a time of year, a 6-month stretch of time where you're going to face temptations, it's during candy season, which seems to run really from mid-September until right around March or April, literally half the year. So please tread carefully if you're thinking about taking a break from your ketogenic diet. You put in too much work to just throw it all away because you find Reese's Christmas trees enticing, or eggnog enticing, or maybe the holiday pie enticing. Now, granted, if you've been doing this for a few years, your whole life, some people have, who can once or twice a year have a dessert, then you know what, whatever. If it's not going to destroy, if you know you can handle it, that's fine. But my suspicion is the vast majority of people who watch videos like this know that they should not do things, but they get tempted by it anyway. Part of the universal human condition. So please take this as a warning to not follow in those kind of footsteps. I've been there. I've done it. Got the t-shirt. Don't want to do it again. Let me know if this was the kind of motivation you needed to hear, or what your thoughts are on the whole indulging during the holidays. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It certainly helps us. Sharing this on social media, that helps too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore. Thanks for tuning in.